Hi, Mark. Welcome to Funnel Vision. It's great to have you on today.
Great to see you, Elena. How are you?
Good, good. So, we're going to chat today a little bit about AI and training and all that good stuff, and excited to jump in. So, starting out, how do you see the way AI, the way sales leaders prepare and run effective one on one coaching conversations? Like, how do you see AI involved in that kind of process?
Yes. One, I think it's really valuable to keep in mind that a couple facts that only 50% of B2B sales organizations, 50% actually achieve their quota. And that's according to Forrester. So that's not a big percentage, not as much as most CEOs and heads of sales would like as a stat. The other reality is that turnover at B2B companies is about, in the sales organization, is higher than any other department. It's about 27%. And I believe that's from uh, Gartner as well. So what we do know is that only 19% of sales organizations across the board, B2B, B2C, whatever the case may be. And this is from Bridge, which is a great research and sales training organization, the Bridge Group. It's only 19%. So when you look at those realities, what do we see and what is the impact of that? What we see are sales managers, sales leaders who simply do not have the time to one-on-one coach each of their sales folks. Um, Life has gotten busier. It certainly has. As a middle manager or even a frontline manager, you're kind of stuck between the management side and then your salespeople side who are on the ground. And there's always reports that are due. There's your boss is asking for specific things. There's fire drills du jour. There's accounts that need attention. So it's really hard to find time consistently to actually provide quality coaching to each of your sales folks. But what we do know, and these are again based on facts. I'm a big stat guy. I like facts, but I also like them to be substantiated. Is that sales organizations that do in fact coach on a regular basis with their sales team have some interesting facts to share. And their productivity improves about 20%. And if you look at the Sales Management Association, which is a large group that does a lot of interesting work with sales leadership, sales teams that receive optimal coaching see a roughly 17% annual revenue growth. The other key thing is that conversion rates, when there is regular one-on-one coaching, uh, actually achieve a 28% higher win rate with those who don't. So the fact is that coaching, it's been proven over and over again, is an effective tool. And you look at all the kind of more recent technology that's available, such as AI, but all the marketing technology that's out there, try to streamline processes to try to become more efficient. It goes back to the basic block and tackle leadership tenets. It's just spending quality time with each of your sales folks on a regular basis with a very specific agenda. And doing that is going to have an impact on your sales far greater in many instances than any other new tool or process that you put into place. It's there, it's available, and it requires a commitment. And so your fundamental question was, well, how does AI help sales managers improve their productivity and ultimately the outcomes for the sales folks? Well, using AI, recording, for example, the one-on-one sales calls that they have with each of their sales folks. using AI, we one can create a repeatable template that has the common topics that a good, best in class one on one sales coaching call would include. And then by recording that conversation between the salesperson and their sales manager, we can then run this through a simple prompt, which we have, and folks are welcome to contact me and I'll send it to them. And it will score the effectiveness of that actual one on one sales call. It will look at important criteria such as uh, how much time did the sales manager speak versus the sales rep, because just like prospects, we want to spend more time listening than we do speaking. It also looks at how many specific issues were uncovered, how many specific questions did the sales manager ask, and ultimately this prompt will give that sales manager a score between 1 and 10, 10 being excellent, and provide some meaningful, actionable recommendations to improve their next one on one. And it's a simple tool that professionals who are in sales leadership who want to improve their craft and then ultimately improve the outcomes of their teams can use, and it's effectively for free. It just has to be incorporated. The
Mhm.
main thing is the commitment for the one on one sales calls that happen regularly.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much in there that you can do. That just talking about, all of that, just so much, power that, an AI tool can have to analyze the conversations, save time, help, sales leaders get better, help sales people get better. Um, when the sales calls are recorded or the coaching calls are recorded,
Mhm.
insights does like AI surface that sales leaders would typically miss in their coaching and one-on-ones?
Yeah, I don't know if they would miss things. I mean, everybody misses some, and none of us are perfect. But I think it's the idea of consistency, that there are specific elements that should be included in a one-on-one coaching call. And frankly, many of these elements aren't specific to sales; they're specific to any leadership role with any organization. But for example, I mentioned some of the habits that we want to consistently see, and they're listed, and so the tool is looking for the exhibition of these habits. So, is it timely feedback? Did we set goals? Really important. What are the goals that the sales rep committed to? We need to have some empathy too. Like, myself, and I'm sure you too as well, Alana, uh, have had experience actually selling, and it's not an easy job. It really, to be successful at it consistently is not an easy job. So we need to make sure that we're empathizing. We're not just cracking the whip on a regular basis around their pipeline and what's going to close this month. Again, all very important. But if you want to be a leader, if you want to really get more from your team, you also want to make sure that you're following up and that you're focused on preparation as well. And the skills that we want to look for on a regular basis, um, is there coaching and development incorporated into this conversation? Are we problem solving? Obviously, there may be an opportunity with the salesperson that isn't quite to the finish line, and there's multiple moving parts with different departments and constituents that are involved in the decision making process. So, how did we help solve that problem? How did we help that salesperson kind of figure out, mostly on their own, what the next ideal steps are? We also want to make sure that we're exhibiting strategic thinking, that we're not just tactically looking at day to day, but we're looking at quarter, annual, longer term. And are we being motivational? Are we actually puffing these folks up to make them feel better about what they can do and what they can achieve?
Yeah, no, absolutely fabulous. When you're talking about like the conversations between the sales leader and the sales rep, there's, salesperson, for like a coaching conversation. But how about for, like role playing, um,
Mm.
in in using an AI tool, to improve sales performance, and then maybe that will help it become more consistent or more scalable. Like, how do you see how role playing fits in as well?
Yes. No, that's a great question. What a just ideal use case for AI. It really is perfect for it, and it's super effective. But let me first say that, I play golf. I'm not very good, but I enjoy playing. And I know if I take a lesson from a professional golfer or someone who knows how to play well and how to coach well and actually practice the things that they suggested, I actually improve. Go figure, right? If you want to truly get better at something, you need to practice. And if maybe it's music, maybe you're a guitar player and you just can't quite get that riff right of one of your favorite songs. Well, okay, you practice and you practice on your own, and so that when you do play that with some friends, that wow, that sounds great, right? Well, how did you get there? Well, you practiced. It's not rocket science; it's learned behavior. So that's what's so cool about AI role playing for sales. First, we have a tool. It's called innovocoach.ai, innovocoach.ai. And first, we really look at that company. All right. It's, for example, B2B. Who do they sell into? Who are their target companies? So let me give you one quick example. We have currently working with a client. They're about a $200 million business. And they have three different types of sales folks who call on to different places within a particular organization. So each has a different role, each has a different skill set, each has a different knowledge base to be really successful at what they sell. And so this tool for them, for each of those roles, we actually create behind the scenes what that sales scenario looks like. Okay, what type of companies are they calling into? What are the big issues at these companies? What are even the local regional issues at these companies we can build into that? What are the challenges that person you're going to be speaking with is typically going to be faced with? What kind of questions, if I'm a prospect for the particular product or service that you're offering, what are my concerns? What are the questions I would typically ask? What are the objections I would typically ask? And that goes all into this AI soup. And once the sales rep logs on, they can even do it on their mobile phone if they like. They pick a scenario. All right, I want to do a discovery meeting. I want to practice a discovery meeting. For example, it's like I want to practice putting. Okay, putting with a break. All right, I'm going to practice that. And we then select the actual persona. So we can have a bunch of different job titles, different seniority levels. We even throw in a little spice with different personalities. We can make people a little more persnickety, a
Mhm.
little more standoffish, which are the toughest ones, right? Because they don't say anything. It's tough to really get
Yeah.
something going with folks like that. And so that sales reps just starts the conversation once they log in. Discovery meeting, hey, thanks for having us come in to see you today. What I'd like to achieve is A, B, C, and D. Does that make sense to you? Because in any discovery call, and this is categorically, there's certain fundamental things that we need to do to see if it's a good fit for the potential customer, the prospect. Are we a good fit for them? And conversely, are they a good fit for us? And the biggest thing that it's finally looking for, again, in the discovery phase, is did we get a commitment for the next step? Because, by the way, that is the number one reason why in a B2B sales environment that a sales opportunity doesn't evolve into a successful transaction, is because we, the sales folks, failed to get a commitment. And it doesn't necessarily mean a commitment for an agreement, because most of the organizations that we deal with, it's a little longer term, a little more strategic sales. It's not as transactional stuff. So the first discovery meeting, we're not going to get an order. It's not going to happen. but we do need to get some sort of commitment. And that's what this software is looking for. And that AI, I swear, if you close your eyes, it's fascinating how really good it is. If you were to close your eyes, you'd be hard pressed to really tell that this is not just another human. We put different accents on folks. I mean, it really does mimic reality. And because we put all of this information about that prospect and that prospect's company and that prospect's concerns, the prospect's problems. By the way, the competition, they may be using a competitive product or service. Build that right into it. How am I going to have this conversation so that I can find some things that they need, find some pain, some issues, some common ground to have another discussion, to have another meeting, to move this thing forward. And then once that conversation is done, the system simply gives them a score 1 to 10, 10 being excellent. And finally, tells them, hey, this is what you did well. This is what you could have improved. And here are some things the next time you have a discovery call, here are the things you should consider to improve it. And that's just it. I mean, salespeople typically, myself being included, I'm a competitive person and I want to get a higher score, right? I want to see myself improve. It's almost kind of gamified a little bit. Like, okay, I got a 7, not too good. I want to improve that. What areas do I need to improve in order to get a higher score? So it's really powerful, simple, fast, and effective way to get things done. Because now we think about my sales manager who said I need to practice discovery calls. Okay, that's part of the coaching that was provided to me. Go to the innovocoach.ai, and there's other tools out there too, but this sales role play tool, and do 3 practice sessions. And when we meet next week, we'll talk about it. Now, what the system does then, it will send each of the sales reps reports. 1, did they do the work? And 2, how did they do? To the sales manager. So when the sales manager gets with that sales rep, they can see, 1, did they do what they said they were going to do? That's key. 2, what areas do they need some help with? Where are they really good at? I mean, some folks are really good in discovery calls. They're just really good at it. They're naturally curious. They really dig in. They don't jump to the value, proposition. They hold off. Other folks, they're really good at the close, but they're not so good at the discovery. So let's balance that out. Let's make them effective in all these areas. And as a result, what happens? Well, sales improve. I mean, it's that fundamentally simple. Sales improve. So big fan of using AI in role play because you can do it at scale. The thing you have to consider too as a sales manager, I mentioned before, and I doubt any sales manager would argue with me, or a sales VP, whatever the case may be. We're busy, super busy. And we don't always have time to do that kind of level of training. And frankly, it can be also very expensive too. Here's a way to get consistent training, because that's the other thing. Not all managers, if you have a larger organization, are equal in terms of their tenure, experience, and success. So we want that input, that output to represent what is best in class at our company specifically. And we can create that and replicate it over and over and over. So there's a lot of consistency in results that are effective across all the sales folks in all the different regions that they may be operating in. And speaking of regions too, by the way, we can also do it in different languages.
Well, yeah.
So if they work global, we have a couple of global clients, and it's still the same process, but that's the just power of AI.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. I mean, it is. It's so powerful of all that it can do, and then all of that time that you're saving, and like you said, getting it to be more consistent as well. Because you're right, especially in larger orgs, like each person is different in how they approach things, but AI would bring that consistency. Are there any guardrails that sales leaders should put in place to ensure that like AI improves the coaching and conversations and role play, but doesn't lose that like authenticity or human connection?
Yeah. I don't know if it's as much guardrails as we just, again, maybe we're a little biased because we developed this and we're just big proponents of using AI as a tool to be more productive. I mean, and it's just that it's a tool. So it's not really replacing anything. It's kind of augmenting things. And frankly, when you look at the stats, we know that one-on-one coaching, for example, will improve sales. So if I were to talk to a CEO, and I have, you know, would you like to see your sales improve? Well, yeah, would love it to. Well, one of the most effective things you can do is have your frontline sales leaders do one-on-one coaching consistently. That will, in time, whether it's a long-term, short-term, large value, sale, strategic, whatever the case is, your sales will improve, hands down. So it's just getting that standardization. It's making sure that when we do help with these tools, that we also replicate their situation. So no, it's not actually a human giving this feedback. It's still we tell it and provide it the ingredients of what it needs to focus on. So if we do that properly, and that's what we do actually for the client, we create the kind of company, the competition, the specific personas, because we really want to make sure that that is spot on with what their sales folks are dealing with on a daily basis. So I don't know if there's any guardrails necessarily. I think it would be, if folks are just realistic about their time and what they want to get from their sales organization, it's just a very productive tool that it's really inexpensive that can have an impact on success. So, and I will also say too, the simple fact is, and I bet you, Alana, you wouldn't disagree with me. You certainly could. But look, if your organization, and I'm going to talk about sales organization is not using AI somewhere in its processes, or as, again, not a replacement necessarily, but as a tool to get things done faster, more efficiently. If you're not doing that, this is one thing I will tell you: your competition is. Your competition is, and you will need to do that, because I just see time and time again, and I'd love to hear some of your examples of where it's just saves so much time, and that's the most precious, valuable resource we all have is time. If I can get more done, well done, professionally at a high standard, because I expect a lot from myself, consistently. Yeah, wow. I know, as a matter of fact, I was one of the folks on our team, Innovo. We're working with a client, and we've been recording a lot of the interviews because we're actually creating a sales playbook. I mentioned it before. It's about a $200 million company for 3 different sales roles within that company.
Mm-hmm.
And we're recording the different interviews that we do, just a transcript. And that's going into a folder by different job title. And we're just layering AI over that and asking it to find opportunities for improvement. Now, has it done our job? Have we used all of it? No. Has it really helped to make us think about certain things that we may not have considered or wouldn't have time to do? Absolutely. What a blessing. It's just remarkable asset that we're going to use. And the end result is this client's going to get a world-class, state-of-the-art, simple to use sales playbook.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, there is so much that we can do with AI. Like you said, it's using it as a tool appropriately, using it as to increase your efficiency and all of those things. There's just so much. I don't even think that we've kind of scratched the surface yet on all of the things that we'll be able to do with it. It's fabulous, and your tool Innovo AI is just it's so cool for companies that want to increase that. And like you said, it's you know low cost, high efficiency, like it's
Scalable.
scalable.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So Mark, tell us a little bit more about you, what you do, and where people can connect with you.
Yeah. Thanks, Alana. Really appreciate it. The name of our business is Innovo, and that's Innovo Sales. Innovo Sales. That's our core business. And we work with B2B companies, um, from the small to medium size. And we typically work with the leadership team, the CEOs, the owners in many cases. And what we do is figure out why are sales not growing as quickly as they could or they should. Some companies are struggling. Not all companies are struggling. Some companies want to get to that next level. Some companies are at, just as an example, at 20 million in sales, and at whatever, 5, 8 years, I want to be at 40 million. Okay. How do I get there? Now, this is specific to sales. How do I get that to that next level? And that's what we go in and we ask a lot of questions. We want to really understand the situation there, find out where they're strong, find out where they could be stronger, make some very specific prioritized recommendations that will improve sales. And that's it. Now, oftentimes the clients will hire us to actually help implement those things. So another good example is we're working with a software company, and knock on wood, this software company has done very well, and they've had zero sales, meaning sales organization. Let me be specific. They've had a lot of sales. They just haven't proactively had, a sales function within their organization, and they know that the market for what they offer is pretty big and there's a lot of room. So we were brought in to create kind of a go-to market plan, a commercialization plan for this company. And over a 2-year period, we've really done fantastic. We've added the infrastructure, the different tools that you would need, playbook, for example, all those things that would be required to have a scalable, repeatable money growth engine. And that's really what we're shooting for. Yeah, so our other business, we have a Innovo Sales Leaders, and it's basically one-on-one coaching for sales managers who want to improve their skills. And we just see over and over again where, a very good sales professional gets elevated to a sales leadership position, and 6 months down the road, they're scratching their head and go, why did I do this? I mean, my calendar's no longer mine. I'm making less money, and all I'm dealing with is headaches. Why am I doing this? So how can we help them to get to the other side and actually enjoy what they're doing and be successful at it? And then finally, more recently, we launched Innovo Coach, Innovo Coach.ai. And this is a subscription service. It's pretty inexpensive. And companies, big and small, but we're seeing a lot of traction with the mid-sized companies. It's either one, you're a smaller company, in the $10 million a year sales, you've kind of bootstrapped your success, and the owner or someone in the family is leading sales, but also doing 10 other things, very entrepreneurial.
Yep.
So they need something to help with their sales folks to kind of replicate their success, how they got where they are. And then we have larger organizations that just need the tools to across the board improve skills that improve sales results. Those seem to be the two most popular groups that we get involved with. So it's Innovo, Innovo, coach.ai.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for being on today. Really appreciate it. Exciting to talk to you. You've got love your business, love what you're doing. This Innovo Coach AI is a big thing. It's gonna definitely make a big difference for a lot of businesses. So appreciate you jumping on and being on today. And we will chat again soon.
My pleasure, Alana. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.